In today's pattern, let's work on the Bright and Easy Crochet Blanket. There is a lot more going on in this blanket than you realize, and I think you're going to love it. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to work on the Bright and Easy Crochet Blanket just like you see here. This Afghan really threw me for a loop, and let me tell you a little bit about it and why it threw me for a loop and why I think this is going to be one of the go-to patterns in the future. So I was looking at this pattern on Yarnspirations, deciding whether I was going to do a tutorial with it, and I really couldn't understand what I was looking at in the pattern here. Am I looking at two colors? Am I looking at variegation? What am I exactly looking at? And then I kind of noticed that there was kind of like a solid color going up in a vertical, and then these are variegated going up in a vertical, and then I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot more going on to this. And then I was looking at it thinking that there's fans and etc., and I was like, okay, what is going on in this Afghan, and why don't I know about it, and why haven't I seen this before? So this may not be a new stitch, but it is new for me, and once I started digging into this pattern, I absolutely love it. Let me show you what I'm looking at here and why I think you'll be excited about it too. So here is the pattern like so. So I've done it as per the instructions, and you will notice that the solid colors, so there's actually two colors being used in the Afghan. So in the one in the example, it's more of a green, and then they have a green variegation going up, and you will notice that all the solid colors going up in a straight and all the variegated is going up in a straight. But I will tell you, what got me excited about this is that I'm not a fan of dropping yarn in the middle of a row in order to change it. I just don't enjoy that process. But when I saw how this is being done in the diagram, I was totally head over heels, because this means that I can change color in the middle of a row in order to get the vertical stripes without having to drop my yarn in order to do so. So I was really quite excited about that. So this is what you're looking at. So I did another example that you can see here, and this is what it looks like if you are working with more solid base colors. So you'll see that it goes up straight and it's going up straight, and what's happening in this line is really kind of interesting. Let me tell you a little bit about that. So how this pattern works is that one row is the colored yarn. Okay, it's the blue. The next row, you'll notice that it sinks partially over this row down, and so the work that is involved in the blue is actually being covered by the stitch work here. Okay, so these colors are going all the way across. It's just a visual effect. So when you're looking at it from the main example, when you see in the Afghan, you'll see that the variegation is coming across doing the fan, and then it disappears, and it's only disappearing because this one here, the solid color, is blocking you from seeing it, and then it appears once again. But the nice thing about this particular pattern is that it's double-sided. So even the back side looks exactly the same as the front side. So that's one thing I really liked about this particular pattern. So let's look at the crochet diagram next, and let me show you a little bit about that as well. So here's the crochet diagram. I'm switched to a smaller hook just as a pointer tool, but you'll need a size N 10mm crochet hook in order to do that with the baby brights today. So what you're looking at here is that you're looking at the crochet diagram, and you're thinking to yourself that the blue here is actually a separate row completely, in the fact that it's actually working on its own and kind of crisscrossing with the front. Well, that's the way I looked at it, and that's why I was screwing up. But what you're looking at here is that you're gonna come across and you're gonna do your chains. If you want to change the size of this particular Afghan, you have to keep it in multiples of 8. So you can go 8, 16, whatever the next multiple is, 24, 32, and then at the very end of the row, the chain that you decide to do, you have to add 4 chains. So keep it in multiples of 8 and then add 4 at the end if you would like to change the size of this particular pattern. Therefore you can use this pattern for any size crochet hook and yarn as long as they complement each other. So you're gonna come all the way across, and you're gonna do the black going across, and then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna come back across, and continuing with the same color is that you're gonna come down. But these actually are going right over top of the chain and bearing it right underneath. So it's not coming in front of the chain, it's not going behind the chain, it's going right over the chain. And so therefore it hides it visually for you. And then you're gonna do another chain here, but the next row will then hide that next chain. So you see that when you're looking at from the shell perspective for the 2 double crochets chain 1, they really are covering the other colors, making the visual effect appear really quite cool. Just as a yarn recap before we start, in order to do this size, which is a generous size Afghan, it's 55 inches by 60 inches using the Bernat Brights yarn. We have, you're going to use the large balls for this particular item. It goes really quickly. You're going to need 4 balls of one color and 4 balls of another, giving you a total of 8 balls altogether in the 300 gram size, just like you see here. So without further ado, I'm going to do a small example, but we're going to follow this pattern and I'm going to give you the tips to go along with it. So let's get started today. I'm going to start off with a slip knot. I'm going to use regular yarn in order to demonstrate this particular Afghan, and you can use the Brights yarn if you wish to do that particular example. So if you keep it in multiples of 8 plus 4, you are always going to have the right size if you are going to substitute on the size. If you were going to do the pattern as per the instructions, you just have to make sure that you are going to chain 132. So let's begin. I'm going to do multiples of 8 because I'm going to do a smaller example. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Big enough, yes or no? If not, continue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Big enough, yes or no? Continue. If not, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if once you're satisfied with the length at the end, you're just going to add 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that gives you multiples of 8 plus 4. So we're going to start along the chain now, and we're going to come back, across it. So I want you to count over to the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, come to the 4th, get the back hump only, and I want you to double crochet 2 times into that. So this chain that we had just created by jumping over counts as a double crochet. So on the ends, whenever we have this type of row, there will always be 3 double crochets that are standing beside each other. So we're now going to continue along, and we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Coming back down to the chain now, I need you to skip over to the 8th one. So we're going to skip a lot of stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 right there. And I want you to double crochet 2 times. We're going to create a shell. So it's going to be 2 double crochets into the same stitch, followed by a chain 1 and then 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Just like that. Okay? So let's continue along. So whenever you're on the row here, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then skip another 8 and go to the 8th one. So skip another 7 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So go to the 8th and double crochet 2 times. And then chain 1 and then 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. So you're going to go all the way across the row like that until you get to the very end, which I'm about to hit. So I still have a lot way to go, but it's really not. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So I know from my example here that the last stitch is the 8th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I can just confidently just go into the final one, and I'm going to place 3 double crochets into the final stitch or to the final chain. So that's as easy as it's going to get. So the repeat pattern on this particular idea, it doesn't happen till row number 3. So this is row number 1. So this is what it all looks like at this particular point. So let's move on to row number 2. So let's turn our work. So row number 2 is going to be the exact same color. We're going to get this pattern established before we start changing colors. So row number 2 is the same color. So whenever we start row number 2, it's simply by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to come back down to the chain, and there is 7 empty stitches. You're going to come into the middle one. If you don't feel like counting, you can almost get away with just looking at it and just saying, okay, that's the middle one right there. So what you want to do is that you want to pinch down this chain to that level there, and you want to double crochet 2 times into that chain, but making sure that this chain here is right up over top of it so it gets stuck underneath. This is how you hide the colors. So you're going to double crochet right around that whole thing, so you're pushing it down, and you're going to double crochet 2 times, followed by a chain 1 and then 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. So you only have to push it down once because it'll stay in a position, and then you're gonna carry on this row and chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, and then just simply coming again into the middle one, so it's the 4th one in, or you can just visually look at it. So just going in, pushing down this chain here as well to make sure it's stuck on top, so it gets stuck underneath, and you're going to double crochet 2 times, chain 1, and 2 more times into that same stitch. So do you get that? So you're going right up over top of the stitch so that it's not in the back, it's right directly underneath. Then you're gonna chain 3 again. So 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna carry on doing that all the way across, and you want to get this last gapping space again. Again, I'm just looking for the middle one, or you can count it over. So just right there. Just push down this other chain here, go around, and double crochet 2 times. So 1 and 2, followed by chain 1, and then 1 and 2 again. So at the very end of this row, what we have to do is chain 1 only, and then we just single crochet into the turning chain. So don't go into a gapping space, go right into the chain and single crochet. And I need you to pull up a big loop right now because we're gonna drop this color. So this is what it looks like right now. It doesn't look like the example, but now we're gonna introduce the secondary color, and this is when the fun begins. So let's begin to talk about that next. So the secondary color is now gonna be added, and we're gonna turn our work, and we're gonna let the loop and the yarn of the other color fall in behind. So just get it out of your way. Make sure that it's not impeding anything to the yarn ball. Okay? And I want you to create a slip knot and place that onto the hook. And what I want you to do, and this is the only time you have to do this, is that you see the loop, you just come right to the stitch that it's in and just join it with just a slip stitch. So just yarn over, you're pulling it through, and then at the end you're gonna use a darning needle to hide in this starting. So the advantage to this particular pattern is that every time we use the same color, the starting is exactly the same. So for example, this gray that we're about to do is always gonna start this exact same way no matter what row you're on, but as long as you're using gray. So to start gray, all you just need to do is chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. You remember how we did this before, that there's 3 double crochets right in the end? Well, that's the exact same this time around. So there's gonna be 3 double crochets. Remember that first chaining of 3 counts as one of them. So there's your 3, and now you're gonna begin again going across. So we're gonna chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So the difference now in the rest of the pattern is that we come in between where the shells are, so the chain 1 there, and so when we double crochet we go into that space, but we make sure that this chain is also pushed with it so it gets stuck underneath, and you're gonna do 2 double crochets. Okay, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, just like that. Once you get that done, you're gonna chain 3 again. So 1, 2, 3, and just work your way across doing the same thing. So look for the next shell down here, and you're gonna wrap the hook going in. Make sure this chain is pushed with it so it gets stuck underneath the stitch. Okay, and then just double crochet. So you're just pushing it together. Chain 1 and then double crochet 2 more times. So this creates that visual blocking of the stitch work. And so you can see now you're having excessive chains here. So every time you come back with the other color, it's going to make it solid. So this is the difference I would do when finishing this Afghan, but we're not there yet. So let me continue along. So we're gonna carry on, and we have to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then what we're going to do then right on the single crochet right over here, we're gonna put in 3 double crochets. So now 1 is in, and I just gotta do 2 more. Okay, so the gray is always gonna be the same. So on the one side we had the 3 double crochets in, and then we started the chain 3 and then coming in, and then we finished with 3 double crochets. Once you get there, you pull a loop, and then you go back to the beginning to where this other yellow or the lime was, and you put the loop back on the hook, and it's like a relay race. So every time you finish one row of one color, you're gonna go back and pick up the other color. and then do the other color, and then once you get both colors on the other side again, then we restart. So let's begin to do this next color, and it's gonna be the same each and every time that we go to do this when it comes to doing the lime color, and let me show you that next. So whenever we're doing the lime color, we're gonna just chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. We're not gonna do the double crochets like we did here. We're immediately gonna just jump to the next shell and right in between, and we're gonna double crochet 3 times, or sorry, 2 times into there. Okay, we push down the gray one with it, so it's stuck underneath. So now you're hiding those that stitch, and then chain 1 and then 2 more double crochets into that same one. So this is what's gonna create those vertical lines for you. Once you get the first one done, you're gonna chain 3, so the rest of the row is exactly the same as before. It's a matter of how you start because the starting is different for each of the colors. So you're gonna come into the next shell over here, push down the gray with it, and then just double crochet 2 times, chain 1 and double crochet 2 times. Okay, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you just carry on until you get to the end. So we're just gonna do the final one over here. Okay, so I push down the gray, just automatically push down that gray, or in your case whatever color you're working with, in order to make it work. Just like so. You're gonna chain 1, and you are going to single crochet. See where the loop is coming out of? You're gonna single crochet right in the top of that one. Okay, and then you're gonna pull up this loop. So now you've just safely then gone across using your gray and then the lime, and now we're ready to repeat again. So whenever we do the gray, it's always gonna be the same, and whenever we do lime, it's always gonna be the same. Let's turn our work and begin the next row. When you go to turn your work, you wanna do it so that these strings are not gonna tangle with each other. So I just wanna do it so that I put the lime in behind, because I'm not gonna work with it right away. I'm gonna go back to the gray. I'm gonna pick up the gray with my hook and pull it back onto the hook, just like so. So do you remember how to start with the gray? Well, the gray is gonna start slightly different, but watch. You're gonna chain a 3. So instead of coming back into the gray here, you're going to come into the single crochet of the lime for 2 times. So you're kind of shifting yourself up. So you wanna make sure that you get that loop out of the way, everything is out of the way, and it becomes a lot easier. So you're gonna just double crochet 2 times into that particular stitch. So that chaining a 3 plus these 2 counts as 3 double crochet like it did already be here. So now you're gonna chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, skip the next shell here and just go to the next gray and just push down this color with it and go right into the shell and put in 3 double crochets, or sorry, 2 double crochet, chain 1 and 2 double crochet, just like you see there. Okay, and then chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, again skip to the next gray. See, once you get started, you can just look for the clues of where the colors are in order to keep you moving along. So chain 1 in between the 2 double crochets, and you're gonna do that all the way across, and then on the very final one, chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and in the very final stitch, okay, it's in the chain just like so, and you're gonna put in 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. So you're gonna pull up a loop now. You're done with the gray, but now you're gonna go back for the lime. So let's put the lime back on the hook, and the lime is just like we started before. So this time it's chaining a 3. So 1, 2, 3, and coming back to the lime color, the next one here, you're gonna put in 2. Make sure the gray is then pushed down so it's in between. So 2 double crochets followed by 2 chain, or sorry, 1 chain and then 2 double crochets. Okay, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, jump to the next one that's lime here. So hopefully you're seeing how this pattern's working. I think it's an amazing pattern. It's really quite easy. So you're gonna continue along in the same fashion, going all the rest of the Afghan just like I'm showing you here. It's really no big deal, but I want to show you a difference of finishing it slightly different than what is being shown in the pattern to give it a nice sense of closure. Okay, so I'm just coming up all the way to the end. So if it were me, I would finish off slightly different. So chain 1 and then single crochet into the top of the last double crochet. So what you're gonna notice, if you finish off like it says in the pattern, you're gonna have these excessive chain gaps here, but you don't have it in the beginning. So why have that? So what I recommend is that you see in the beginning we have more lime and then the gray kind of started the third row up. So what I would do if it were me is that I would turn my work, and instead of pushing the gray back across, I would do it with lime. So we're just gonna do exactly what we did but with lime this time. So we're just gonna chain up 3. So this would be how I would finish the Afghan. And you want to put in 2 more double crochets in the end like it was lime. And then what you want to do is chain 1. Okay, this is not in the pattern, this is me. Come into the next one that's lime, single crochet, chain 1, and then come into the next gray and do the same thing of 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 double crochet. Okay, followed by chain 1, come into the next lime here, single crochet, chain 1, and then come into the next gray. So it's like it's the gray but it's not, but what the difference is that I'm having you put in a single crochet in between the other shells here in order to keep it, see, it's gonna keep it nice and tight together instead of having that excessive chain gap right at the top. Okay, chain 1, the next lime here, it's a single crochet, chain 1, and then 3 single crochets right into the very end. So this is what I would do with this particular pattern if it was me, and therefore you'll have this striping and it will be well balanced just like so. So when you look at the other example that I did here, you'll notice that I started off with the white and then I switched over to blue, and then at the end I did the exact same thing in order to bring it to conclusion just like that. So this is how I would do this particular pattern. It's really not a hard pattern once you understand the concept of burying in the chain work in between to create the vertical stripes and anything that you would like to do within this particular pattern. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. Have a great day and we'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.